Okay, guys, good evening all. So, welcome to this Future Ready Talent project mentoring session. My name is Prashant Beniwal. Sorry for my bit of a husky voice due to a bit of a sore throat. It's not a problem, but I'm trying to keep myself still active. So, if you're not able to hear me well, do let me know. Though I'm trying to keep the mic as close to my, let's say, speaking as much as possible. I hope you are all able to hear me well. So welcome to this program. This is a 2 hours program. Out of this, in the first 1 hour, we will be trying to tell you few things around basically mentoring you around how to choose a project. Let me just quickly pull up the agenda. So we will try to give you a bit of overview of Azure, as we believe most of you may have already. Some of you may have attempted to submit a project or you are in the phase of learning. So we will try to tell you what you can expect, a brief peek, let's say sneak peek into the Azure. Then we will give you a few tips and tricks on how to identify a project for submission. After that, to give you a bit of, let's say, experience, what we will try to give you is 2 to 3 examples of few of the projects which some of your co-participants have submitted in the past, so that it gives you some idea as to what kind of a project you can make. Then we will give you some tips and tricks on how to submit the project, because we see a lot of times people are able to learn Azure. They are able to successfully identify a project. They successfully build the project also. But eventually, while submitting, there are some, let's say, knowingly, unknowingly, some mistakes happen, because of which the projects get rejected and it gets into another loop of rejection and all that. So we will try to give you some general guidelines, even though all of this is mentioned in the FRT site. And the last 1 hour or so would be for Q&A. Of course, during the duration of the course also, whatever questions you have, please keep them coming in the Q&A chat, so that we have mentors from FRT program who will be giving you answers in real time. If some questions eventually needs to be answered by me or somebody, we will of course take it after an hour. So first 1 hour, kind of, I will try to give you some ideas into what an Azure service is about. So this is the high level agenda, which I have already shared. So without further ado, let's move into the world of what is Azure all about. So I hope all of us know that Azure is the Microsoft public cloud platform. It's just one word, but actually it encompasses a lots and lots of services. So just to mention the few of them which are mentioned here, let me just summarize this. So let's say the important ones. It gives you ways to run your compute, which means like your virtual machine or what we call like a laptop kind of a thing. It helps you run databases workload. It helps you develop. You can run AI kind of a thing. You can run analytics on it. You can run IoT. So basically, there is a full module on security. So just like any other public cloud provider, Azure is very, very rich in its functionality, mostly as part of your learning, because most of you are in, let's say, your early years of your engineering or maybe final year. Mostly we see people are more interested in compute, databases, and mainly, let's say, a bit of web applications and all. So I will also try to focus mostly on the services which we have seen based on our experience in the past, that people are using these services to build projects, because industry project may involve, let's say, much more complex services. But considering that you all will have limited time to complete your projects, we don't expect you to make very, very complex projects. And that is what we will try to demystify in next 1 hour, that how easy it is to learn Azure. Again, the learning journey is very long, but that long journey is when you want to go really, really deep into the technology. but you can create projects with very, very basic learning. And of course, I don't think that project creation should stop you from further learning. You should use it, that knowledge as a base, and keep on learning new stuff. So we will try to give you some tips and tricks into it. So with this, let's move into, let's say, the high level services, or let's say the kind of services that Azure has. Out of all this, I would say PaaS, which we say platform as a service, is the most common services that we are seeing industries also using. And so is the students who are trying to develop projects for this FRT program. So all of us, it seems, are very, the platform as a service are being used by us. So just to give you an example of analogy, let's say rather than talking on the IT terms of IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, I would say that let's take a simple example, okay, of building a house. So when you want to build a house, I'm moving away from IT to give you an analogy so that this will become clear. So remember, building a house, what you can do is you can buy a piece of land and build everything from scratch. So comparing that to the IT world of cloud or non-cloud, it will be like if the company that you are part of or you as an individual buy a piece of hardware, buy or rent a place to put it there and then keep it up and running. That is what we call on-prem. But with this era of cloud and internet becoming very popular in last, I would say 10 or so years, things like IaaS initially became very popular. So in the housing analogy that I was discussing, if on-prem is like building a bungalow, infrastructure as a service is that you take help of a builder who's making basic house structure and giving it to the people. So that is giving you a lot of services in the sense. So rather than buying your own hardware, you may just take something on rent in a virtual world. In the world of cloud, it is called IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Though this is also a bit low level, and we see most of the students or let's say participants of FRT program don't tend to use like directly a virtual machine, or because it is a bit cumbersome. So in our housing analogy, the next thing is you go for a furnished apartment. So you just check in into it in the sense that the apartment is already pre-built, it is painted, the basic furniture is there, and you just come and use it. So that kind of a model in the cloud world is called PaaS service. So rather than creating your own virtual machine, deciding the OS, operating system that you want to run, which ports to open, I think what PaaS gives you is directly create your workload. The workload could be like a front end, like a web application. It could be middleware, like a API kind of a thing. It could be database, like running directly a SQL database. So I will try to give you an example of one or two very interesting PaaS in next 5 to 20, 15, 20 minutes, just to give you an idea of how to go about Azure. And then SaaS is like a Office 365 kind of an application, which is even higher level. So in our housing analogy, if this is like building your own bungalow from scratch, IaaS is like taking a basic built apartment. This is like taking a fully furnished apartment. SaaS is like going and checking into an hotel, in which practically you need to do even less. You have even less control, but you are able to use their services. Again, our focus is not much of SaaS because this is not will not help you create too many projects in this. Actually, the service already has like Office 365. You can directly run Excel. You can directly run maybe Word in it. No software required. So actually, primarily, I think PaaS is what you should focus on as part of your initial learning. Of course, eventually, if you want and need to go further deep into the world of cloud, you should go for IaaS and all. So I will try to give you an example of one or two popular PaaS services, which other participants of FRT program are using it to their advantage. So the popular services which in Azure participants of FRT program are using are like maybe some people are using their own virtual machine. You are using storage accounts. Think of it like your personal hard disk. People are using static web apps. I will try to give you an example of a static web app. There are app service, a PaaS service like SQL database, and a lot of people who want to get exposed to AI or a machine learning kind of a problem statement try to go for cognitive services. So in the next 15-20 minutes, I will try to give you a very simple demo of static web app and cognitive services to give you an idea of what cloud is all about and especially what Azure is all about. Okay. So with this, let me try to just do some demo. Before I do the demo, let me tell you that because it is a development oriented demo, I will be using Azure platform. In Azure, primarily what you need to start with is a subscription. Now, the good thing is, as part of this program, you are already getting what we call GitHub Student Pack. I hope all of you are getting activated that pack. As part of that, you get, it's called GitHub Student Pack. It is mentioned in the FRT program website. If you face any challenges in it, you can drop your questions in the Q&A and our mentors will try to guide you. We will give you general tips. Out here, we are expecting that you already have a student pack and I will already have an active subscription. After that, I will jump into what we call Azure portal. And because it is a development oriented demo, I will not write a too complex code. I will already take help of a HTML code. Let's say there is a website which is written in HTML and CSS. And I don't want to host it on my own platform. Let's say this is one of the problem statement that I have that I want to have a front end. So I will show you within minutes how you can host your website on a Azure service. Of course, you will need to have active subscription because this means who is paying for it, right? So somebody has to pay, but the good thing is you don't need to pay. You get a credit of a predefined amount for 1 year from the date of activation. All that is mentioned in your GitHub student pack. And with that, I will jump into the coding piece. Of course, you need what we call an IDE. So I will be taking help of Visual Studio Code. It is one of the popular IDE. In the interest of time, I am not giving all these instructions how you can do, but maybe I will share the link. You will need to set up maybe .NET or Python, whatever is your program languaging. You may need to add some, let's say, plugins for making your Visual Studio Code work with Azure. So all that is a prerequisite to what I will be doing. I will just briefly try to show you that. So I will pull quickly a remote machine. Let me just take it here. So this is like a Windows machine. On purpose, I have set everything here. So what I have done is, let me quickly show you what all I have installed. OK, so I went and installed Visual Studio Code download as an example because I want it to work. So let's say my operating system is Windows. So I just need to come here and let me put this in the chat window. So let's say on this link, we can go and download whichever OS we are preferable working with for Visual Studio Code. As an example, if you want to do similar thing, of course, this is not the only IDE. I would say there are other IDEs like Eclipse, IDEJ, or whatever other you prefer, PyCharm and all that. I am trying to show you a demo with a particular because this is Microsoft supported IDE. It works very well with everything. So what I did in addition, I went and said .NET Core because I'm working with it. So maybe .NET Core download. So I did this also for, of course, you may be choosing Java, you may be choosing Python or some other language because I happen to choose .NET. This is the place where I went and downloaded, installed .NET framework and all. so that I can get this kind of, let's say, a Visual Studio Code. By the way, in our case, we are not using much of .NET code. I have just written a plain simple website, okay, which is just an HTML page. It says welcome to this FRT mentoring program, today's date and time. And what I want is I want to be hosted this HTML page as a website. So what I did, in addition, I went to github.com. Let's say as an example, so github.com. Again, this is my ID, but if I will go to the base page, this is like a repository. So all this is mentioned in how to learn about all this is there in your FRT program. GitHub is a good place too, because this is one of the critical place when you will want to submit your project. You will need to have an account on GitHub. Anyway, when you will claim your GitHub for student pack, it will start with creating an GitHub account and all that. Think of it like a repository for your source code. So in my case, in interest of time, I'm not showing you, but I already pushed my repo here. OK, so in this, there is this source code. Again, my source code is very simple, but I have this index.html file and a CSS. Simple code. It is the same code which I was showing you, something like this. So what I want is I want to show you that within minute or two, I can create things into Azure and host this as a website on Azure, and I will share that link with all of you and you will be able to access that link. OK, so let me just quickly go. As a final thing, I will also show you the portal. So this is like you have to go to portal.azure.com, which is the base page for logging into Azure. And again, there is a way that I can create resources from here, but I want to show you that there is an even better way. Let's say if I want to work here, one way is that I can say create a resource and I will say static web app, which is what I'm trying to use. OK, but I will not even do this. I will instead go directly to Visual Studio Code and I have installed few plugins and everything. I will quickly show you that I went to the plugins window. I went and said, OK, I want Azure. So I want Azure app service and all this I have installed. Because of installation of all these plugins in Visual Studio Code, I get this Azure tab and I have logged in into my Azure subscription, which is linked here. OK, so in addition to subscription, which I said, which we all need to have, this kind of a subscription activated. And when we are creating a resource, we need to create a resource group. So the source group concept is like a folder concept for Windows file system. OK, so nothing very great about it. But if I go to resource group, there are few resource groups. So overall, what I will do is I will just go and click this button here, create a resource. It shows me a way to create a resource. So I say, yes, I want to create a static web app. It asked me for a name. So let's say I will say static demo FRT proj something. I will give it a name. Now region is again a concept as to in which Azure region I want to create this resource. I choose that. Again, it's a static web app. It supports these many frameworks. I don't want any of the framework because mine is a pure simple HTML web page. I will define where is my, let's say, source code. So I've given that. Again, because mine is not something that it requires a build or anything. That's it. And just with these 3 to 4 options of choosing the name for my web app, choosing the region, let's try to see what happened here. OK, so if I will refresh it, very soon you will see here a new resource group getting created with a name something like static. OK, you see this static demo. This has been created by the plugin of Visual Studio Code. So within minutes, you will see that there will be a resource getting created here. Refresh. And if I click this, and let me close everything that I don't need. Let's try to browse this link. So right now it is not showing the correct thing because remember we are taking help of, let me just show you what we just did. Whether we realize or not, this is very, very powerful thing. What happened as part of whole of this flow? Practically a GitHub action has been created, okay, which is an automation of, let's say it is what we call continuous integration kind of a pipeline. What happens that the moment I am pushing the code to the GitHub by Visual Studio Code, taking help of the plugins, what is going to happen is that it is going to get deployed. And let me just refresh this page and you see that is what I promised you, right? So within minute, maybe 2 minutes, any of you can try to go to this link and you will be able to see this page, okay? And it all came because of this, okay? So I will just take a pause here. So guys, there is a lot of learning here. Let me just try to summarize what I have just done on a whiteboard. So let's see. Let me just quickly pull a whiteboard just to give you an idea of what I just did. So see, you choose a problem statement, fine. You write some kind of a code. Of course, you put that code into GitHub. Code you write in, let's say as an example, something like Visual Studio Code. You push it to GitHub using the concept of GitHub Actions. It kind of moves into Azure. Azure has a service called Static Web App. And you are able to get an endpoint, which is the website which I shared with you. So basically now what happens, you get an endpoint and you see the beauty of this solution is, let's say I have built it once. Now I suddenly think that no, I want a new version of it. So maybe I want the time to be in, let's say something like not this AM PM format. So let me show you how powerful it is. All I need to do is using my IDE, I will just push the code to the repo, updated, and that's it. OK, basically the same flow which I explained to you. It will again go through. You don't need to do no manual intervention. And practically the link which I shared with you, you just need to wait for a minute or two to the flow to run. And I will refresh this page and you will see new time format 16:30 and PM disappearing. Let's see. It may take a minute or two as to this to happen. Of course, we can always come here and see what is happening at our GitHub level in the actions window. The moment this will turn green, I will come and refresh this and you should see the new timestamp here, OK, or the new way of writing. So I hope you are able to understand this at a high level, OK. Let me tell you what all I have used. So let's say while I will first show you this and then I will try to explain you how you can learn all this. So you see it is still running. Just give it a minute. OK. Yeah, perfect. Let's try to refresh it now. You see. So this is the beauty of it. So from your, let's say, FRT program, if you want to learn about all this to some extent, technically, let me try to open the page. This is your future ready kind of a program. I will just quickly sign in as one user just to give you an idea. You see, you already have all this material available. So if you will go to this, let's say self-learning. So first of all, I would suggest try to go for a bit of those AZ900, the services that we are talking about. What are the core Azure services? Again, there are so many things here, but at least try to understand what are our core services. from AZ204 program, which is one of the very good program. What I did, I tried to do something like deploy a website, not with Azure, but something like Azure App Service. Of course, rather than using Azure App Service, I have consumed static web app. You could use Azure Web App also or Azure App Service also. A lot of participants in FRT program uses that service. It is to host. And then there are so many other programs. If you want to learn about GitHub, this is what you have on GitHub. Lot of learning available to you. So I would suggest take this and within minutes, you have a website up and running. So any questions, I'll wait in the Q&A, especially related to what I just now did. Otherwise, I will move to the second demo and we will continue on our flow. I will take 1 or 2 questions now, as the last 1 hour is anyway supposed to be on questions only. So let's see if any particular questions on the service that I just created and showed you how you can do. Okay, there are a lot of questions on GitHub Pack and all, which we are anyway answering. Okay. Yeah, so guys, I saw a question on recording. So guys, as that we will anyway answer. So we have mentors with us, so you will be receiving recording later. But right now, I would like you to focus. Don't wait for the recording. It will eventually come. But right now, let's say in the interest of time, I will move to another demo, which is on cognitive service. Why I choose this service? Because it gives very interesting problem statements you can solve. AI is anyway very hot these days. So what Azure has done is it has tried to simplify AI for us. So what I will do again, just like the last time, I will try to take a simple problem statement. Let's say I have some kind of a file, a web file or a MP3 file. I want to play it to understand that what is the language is it in. Then maybe I will ask user as to which language you want, and you will hear a sound in a different language, and all this with 50 line of a code. OK, so how many things are happening? You are converting, let's say, sound into text. Let me show you how many steps we are doing. We will convert a sound into text. After that, we will convert text from one language to another language. So we will do conversion of language, and then we will convert that back to sound. And remember, sound to text to another language text and then back to sound is something that seems very complex. But I will show you that how with the help of Azure service, you can cover it like within. Again, it's a very base program that I have created. Nothing, it's not a website kind of a feeling on purpose. That is something which you will need to invest time in, because we cannot give you a ready-made solution here, but at least I will show you a service. So let me just quickly open one file for you. Again, it's a .NET code. So I will share the sound also so that you all can hear whenever the sound comes. I will delete this. Perfect. So what I did, again, I took help of an Azure service. Let me quickly show you how simple it is to create that service of Azure. So I created a service using, let's say, something like cognitive service. I created this service. It requires few parameters to be defined. As an example, as to who will pay for it, what is the resource group, what region, what is the name, and that's more or less it. Once this service is created, what you get is this kind of, let's say, a cognitive service. And all you need is, let's say, these kind of a things, the endpoint, this is like a password and which region it is in. Now using this, I went and again took this program from one of the sample program, and you will see all it is roughly a code of 91 lines. If I remove braces and all, it is not even 50 lines of code. So at a high level, before I explain, I will just give you a brief explanation of this code. Okay, so this is like the main program. We are reading a file. Let's say the file is this file, okay, station.wav. And it is in the English, it is saying where is the station. Of course, it's a very simple file. It's a demo file from the AI102 program. We ask the user which three languages that we are giving, whether you want to convert in French, Spanish, or Hindi. And after that, we call whatever language is chosen. We call a function called translate. And eventually, if there is no exception, we choose this, we play the sound, we translate it, we get the text of translation back, and if required, we convert the translation into sound. You see this speech synthesizer, and then we speak it also. Okay, so let me just show you the demo and it will be very clear what I'm saying. So I will run this program and you see it is asking me, so I will choose Hindi first, okay, just to give an idea. So you see, just hear out, I have shared the sound, you should be hearing it out. Okay, so what it will do, it will first read this file, this program station.wav. It will say where is the station. After that, because I have chosen Hindi, it will say station kahan hai. Let's see.
Where is the station?
स्टेशन कहाँ है?
So you see, so I know it looks very simple, but you have to understand, if you wanted to do the same things with a very, very low programming of code, under no conditions you can manage it in 50 code out here, 50 lines of code out here. You see, if you want to just synthesize, you use synthesizer function. To that, if you want to use translate, you just say translating and use this translation based on the target language. So let's try one more language, French.
Where is the station?
Où se trouve la station?
You see, so it converted where is the station into French of it. Like earlier, it converted it into Hindi. The font is not very good because it was not able to print her very well. But again, you see how strong, how powerful it is. If I say Spanish.
Where is the station?
¿Dónde está la estación?
So again, you can see, guys, it's using this kind of a program. Again, there is a learning curve here. I'm not denying it. It is not a zero code approach. So there is a programming language concept you will need to anyway learn. There is a framework which you will need to learn, on which you will host this solution as a website, on which you will take files. But all I'm trying to highlight here is that in very, very simple ways, by taking help of the materials available to you, you can take language, speech, vision, decision level things. Okay, so overall, I showed you a demo of this also. So with this, I think I have covered what we wanted to cover of Azure. Now we will move our focus into how you can choose a project. What are some of the earlier projects which some of your co-participants have chosen, just to give you an idea, and then how do you go around submitting the project? Those three sections of the coverage is still left. These two demos was more to just excite you about this journey. The first one was about creating a web application, and the second one was about how to use an AI services. So in general, people ask me this question, that how should we pick up a project for FRT program? So some of the key things that I can suggest is, first of all, guys, pick up a problem statement of your choice, something which excites you, so that you will be happy to learn about it. You will try to solve it. I would not say, I will suggest, don't take very complex problem to solve. Of course, you can pick up some very complex problem to solve, but considering the limited timelines you will have, break that problem into small pieces. Make that, give a target to yourself that using at least 2 services of Azure, you will try to solve at least this much part of the problem. In parallel, start learning about Azure services like AZ900, AZ104 or AZ204, whatever excites you, developer or AI course or whatever. Try to create a small demo of the application. Okay, maximum you will do mistake. That is why you have been given a subscription. Create resources. Again, guys, the resources that you create gets you charged. You charged means your credits gets taken away, which you get as part of your student pack. So I would suggest use it judiciously. Whenever you don't need it, destroy the resources. I'm again, guys, trying to mix multiple things so that you get an idea. So like I created some resource right now. So let's say I will just go to the portal and let's say I'm done with the demo of the static web app right now. I really don't want to waste my credit for it. So what I will do, I will go to the resource group which got created. I will say delete resource group and I will get rid of that. OK. Of course, you will not when you are in learning phase, try to keep your account clean. Keep on working, making small demos. Along with it, submit a synopsis of your project and get it approved. OK, of course, take a problem statement based on the industry, whatever those 5 verticals that you have given to you. And then keep on learning and make a working demo. And after that, finalize your prototype and submit the project. We will talk about how to submit the project, but these are the high level tips which I can give you based on which how you can identify a project. I will try to now show you again, just theoretically, we will show you 3 projects. OK, like we will just describe those projects which some of the students have done in the past. So one of the person decided to define using AI. He or she wanted to go for a diabetic predictor. So many times the medical fraternity faces challenge that whether or not a person is diabetic, and there are a lot of parameters that define it. So the person took this as a problem statement. Using Azure machine learning as a service, the person solved it. Again, the person took the data set from Kaggle, person learned scikit-learn library, used Python, used Azure Web App and Visual Studio Code to solve this problem. OK, and eventually was able to successfully submit the project and get himself or herself certified, get the FRT certificate of participation or the approval. Another person took a problem statement of that. It's very similar to what I showed you. Again, because there are so many geographies in the world and people find tough to communicate with each other, the person used Azure Cognitive Service using translation, speech service, text extraction, and all that, quite close to what I explained you. And then text from images and used CSS, HTML, and JavaScript with a web app along with cognitive service to successfully solve this problem. The way I showed you was not using HTML and all this because it was the base program that I showed you. And the third and the final thing which I want to show you is that one of the students decided, who may be from Assam, wanted to write a optical character reader service which can read handwritten text and it can read SMS number and convert them into English numbers. So basically it takes in the input the number and it gives. So basically the person used Azure Custom Vision AI along with a web app to host it. So you can see one person used cognitive service. Another person used Azure Custom Vision AI, and one person chose machine learning, and more or less all of 3 chose a web app or a static web app or something to host a website, which makes it 2 services, and they were able to. All of these are examples of successful project submissions and approvals. So with this, we move into the section of project submissions. OK, as to what is the nature of the project that you can submit. So overall, in general, what are the timelines? If you have registered before 28th Feb, there was a different timeline, but I think most of you are coming and this one is relevant for you. Things have changed a lot now. So overall, from the day of your registration, you are supposed to finish the project in 80 days. Okay. You can update your synapses till the time before your project submissions, and you are only allowed 5 attempts to a subscription. Okay. So be aware that this is the basic thing. And overall, another highlight of the thing is that before claiming Azure Student Developer Pack, at least you should have one self-learning course and you should update in your Microsoft Azure skill on LinkedIn. Okay, so these are the general timelines. The 80 days period is very important and 5 attempts is important. Okay, so take a note of these. Earlier, there used to be only individual projects. Now we also have a concept of group projects that 2 members or a maximum of 4 members can be part of one group. There are some restrictions. One person can be part of only one group. Again, there is 2 roles in the group. One of the person is always a group representative and the other ones are group members. You cannot become part of a group project. If you have already cleared it, then anyway you cannot. If you have already submitted as an individual, you cannot, or if you have already got added in one group or your invite is pending, in that case also you cannot become part of the group. Of course, individually, anybody can submit. There is no restrictions on it. And when you submit in project, some of the guidelines are that all the e-learning to be completed, project synopsis and approval should happen, and your project approval. This is required for your virtual internship credit to be given. Of course, I think earlier many students didn't want it to go for the certificate. I would personally still suggest go for it. But there is a process that if you don't want the internship certificate, but just you want a project submission certificate, you can just submit your project submission and approval. But if you don't finish the mandatory e-learning, you will not be able to get the credits. So if you are interested in without credits, just the certificate, you can go for this option. Though personally, I would suggest take this opportunity and do this with credit. And then there are part of how do you submit your group project. It is part of your future ready in learning, go to project, choose group options, and then go for the process. You have to mention your group rep email ID, your members email ID, and then submit, and automatically it gets approved eventually. So this is the way to submit your group project. Overall, few of the guidelines on your project synopsis. You have to align it to one of the 5 industries. You should give it a suitable title. Give a good problem statement explanation. This is the most critical aspect that I want to highlight. Use at least 2 Azure services. We have seen many of the students ignore this and happen to use only one service or no service at times we saw. That is a sure shot rejection because the whole program is about Azure learning. So you have to use 2 services and you claim your student developer pack in general, whatever. If your project is not aligned to your response, then your project may get rejected. So you make sure you do your alignment correctly between whatever vertical you have chosen, whatever your title, whatever your problem statement, and whatever you are submitting. All of this should match. So you have this industry details, you do the project title when you are submitting. These are very important. See to it that you give the right problem statement or opportunity, describe it properly, let us know which services you have used, and then submit the project. All this is in very simple words. We are trying to give you the guidelines of what you can do. All of this is described in much more details in the FRT program. Now we know at times you will have, so we just wanted to let you know what are the evaluation criteria for your projects. So of course, alignment to one of these industry is very important for whatever problem statement you pick. Using at least 2 Azure services, more is always good. See to it that your title, description, and problem statement are aligned. Your application should be working and it should be updated in GitHub. So at this note, I just want to explain you one finer point about GitHub repositories. Just let me quickly open my GitHub repo. Just give me a minute just to give you an idea. So you see, whatever is your website, make sure that once you have a successfully created an endpoint for your service, you will need to go on, of course, all your code should be here. You will need to click on this settings, give the description is fine, but give the endpoint link here. Many times you may feel that the endpoint will not be active because you will destroy the resources or they cannot stay active. So there is a workaround to it that whatever services you have used and all, create a working demo of it. Take a full YouTube recording of whatever services you have used and everything with a voiceover of yourself showing you what all you did. Explain it clearly. Upload that video on YouTube and you can share that link of that YouTube video also as a workaround. We would still prefer that rather than YouTube videos, you should put the actual link of your website or whatever is your endpoint. But this is very, very important. We see many of the students forget to do this, and because of that, we are not able to give. So you should have a working application. And with this, I think more or less, as I promised you in first 1 hour or so, we will give you one final thing from my side, that if you face any challenges with the FRT platform, this is your go-to place, which is support@futurereadytalent.in. This is mentioned on your website also. Let me quickly open the FRT site. So it is mentioned here at the bottom. But if your question is around Azure technology questions, then please don't send it to this ID. Instead, go to this GitHub discussion page and put your query there. OK, so these are the two main places where you should go to as and when you need some help. And with this, I think more or less we are at a point where we will take any questions that are coming. So maybe the mentors can let me know if there is any particular question that I should be answering. Okay. So guys, any questions, let us know in the Q&A. We are looking at it right now. Okay, let me scroll. Okay, there's a question which says, is it compulsory to upload certificate in session learning? I'm not sure which certificate are you talking about. Okay. Okay, one of the person has said my project was complete, but my Azure credit was expired. So my project was failed because of the response was slow. I'm submitting to the output of project and okay, the mentor will get back to you. So let's see, mentor, if you could let me know which questions should I take up. So let me just quickly go to the critical slides here. So guys, remember, in general, let me again cover the process. So guys, everybody now has different timelines. Okay, so there are no common timelines for submission of the projects after 28th Feb. Depending on whenever you registered in this program, you have 80 days, okay, from that day. So that is something which you should know on which date you registered. So that will define your timelines for submitting the project. A lot of people are asking questions around this, so I thought I will clarify this once and for all. Okay, is Future Ready Talent free? Yes, guys, there is no charges for joining Future Ready Talent program. It's free for students.
So, Prashant, there's one question which I'd like to take up. Hello, students. Gunjan this side. One of the student has asked, is it compulsory to upload certificate in session learning? So students, the certificate that we are talking about is the global certification. So let's say before you come into Future Ready Talent program, if you have already acquired a Microsoft certification on any of those courses, what you can do is you can upload your certificate there. You can share your Credly link. And what would happen is that we'll verify the details. In case if your details get verified and are correct as being given by you, you will get the credit against that learning hours. So you don't have to go through the complete course of 35 hours since you've already completed the certification. So no, it's not mandatory, but if you have already completed, we would always suggest that you go ahead and do that. Right. And having said on to that point, I'm sure a lot of the students would have received the email that the fundamental certification for the students are now free. So you can go onto the offer page, you can go and you can access more information that is being given here. So you can take AZ900 and AI900 certification, Microsoft certification free of cost without even paying any amount to it. It's an exclusive offer for you. We would suggest that take advantage of it because it would be a limited time offer. Ensure if you've already completed your training, go ahead and take the certification.
Yeah, the button is here, claim here.
Correct, as rightly being shown by Prashant, right? So that was one question I wanted to take. And Prashant, there's one question which says, sir, please give me one example to deploy API. So if you want to.
Okay, I'm not sure what exactly is the question about deploy API, but at the end of the day, API is also a program. And in general, though for Azure, there is a service which is called Azure API management. So I will give you some link to learn about it. So API management, and there is this again getting started of it. So this is how you can go for it in general. So let's say I just give you documentation. Okay, not this. No, not this one. I will just search it offline. By the way, I saw somebody asking a questions on how to learn about cognitive service. So remember, AI 102 program is for cognitive service. So I would suggest if you are interested in AI service, this is your go-to program, Azure AI Engineer Associate. And you will see here cognitive speech service and Azure cognitive service. So please go for this program if you have not gone through, if you want to build a AI kind of a program. Now somebody asked what about the project we have to submit at the end of internship. Should it be big or small? So again, guys, just to clarify, there is nothing like big or small definition. The conditions is that it should not be any kind of, there should not be any plagiarism. You should not be taking away directly code from some place. You should be building it yourself. You should at least use 2 services. It should be trying to solve the problem related to the industry that you have aligned to it. There is no restriction on the size of the project like big or small.
Okay, I'm just taking up one or two questions. So there's one student who's asking, how would I know whether I'm still eligible to submit my project? So students, for you, only there are two ways when you would not be eligible to submit your project. One, if the deadline to submit your project is passed, which generally doesn't happen because we keep giving you extensions. And second, if you've already exhausted all your attempts to submit the project. So the total number of attempt a student get is 5. And what does an attempt mean? Attempt means that in case if your project didn't get through first time and it was not approved by the mentor, you will receive an email saying your project is not being approved. In that, you can go ahead and you can resubmit the project, right? So that's one thing. Somebody asking on the deadline of the project, as Prashant has already spoken about this. Again, I'm repeating, it's 80 days from your date of registration is the time that you get. So it's a dynamic date. If you are registering today, vis-a-vis if you have registered yesterday or if you're going to register tomorrow, everybody will have a dynamic date and it all depends on what time and date have you registered on. Yes, 2024 students are eligible to register for this program. You can go ahead. However, the benefit of the career fair would not be open to you, but still you can go ahead and complete the internship and do the learning and get the internship certificate. And for identifying the date of your submission, please log into your Future Ready Talent program. Go to the learning page. You'll see the program deadline, the project submission deadline is being shown over there, right? So you can take help from there. So I think all the questions on the submission date, last date to submit, what is the deadline, please log into your FRT portal. Within your FRT portal where your name is being written, if you just see a line or two below that, you'll see your project deadline being mentioned over there, right? One quick confirmation onto the self-learning. We are fixing few things into self-learning. So if in case your self-learning status is not getting synced, the first thing which you have to check is whether you have given the correct MS Learn profile detail, because that's a mandatory thing. Basis that only we go ahead and sync your progress. So if that detail is incorrect, we'll not be able to sync your progress. But if you have given the correct details and if you have done all the courses through that particular ID, by Tuesday, you will see most of your issues which you have logged in regarding self-learn progress not getting synced and all will be updated. So stay assured, just hold on to those questions onto the self-learn progress. By Tuesday, you will see most of your issues on self-learn progress will be rectified. If you have any help on project, please, until unless if it's a technical help that you're not able to click somewhere or something, please put it on GitHub discussion forum and the team of mentors from EY would help you in going and helping you with that particular query.
Yeah, so if it's a technical kind of a question, please put it on GitHub discussions. But if it's on this portal and everything, it is support@futurereadytalent.in as mentioned in this slide.
Correct. Again, on to student developer pack, I'm seeing that as a recurring question coming in. The one thing which you have to ensure before claiming for student developer pack is that one, you should have at least completed one course. Second, you should have updated your Azure skills on LinkedIn. These are the two things you should have done. And after that, go and click on the widget where it says claim student developer pack. The minute you click on that, the team will validate your details. Yes, this is the green one which Prashant is showing you. Before clicking on this, ensure you complete one of the course. It could be any course except for GitHub. After that, you have to go to LinkedIn, go to your skill section and add Microsoft Azure as a skill. And soon after that, what we click on claim student developer pack, the team will validate your details at the backend. If both the things are correct, you'll get an email from us with the link and the steps to claim the pack and moving on to the next steps, right? So ensure that whenever you are clicking on this, before that, you should have submitted all the prerequisite which is required. Also, in case if your claim has been rejected for the first time and now you have done the correction, what you can do is you can go on to orientation page under the LinkedIn tab. What you will see is you can resubmit your LinkedIn profile details and click on revalidate, right? So your claim can get rejected because of two reasons. One, either you have not completed a course, or second, whether your skills are not updated correctly, or whether you would have given an incorrect LinkedIn profile details. So the email is being sent to you. You can read through the email. That gives you the reason along with details, steps that you have to follow to get the revalidation done. We generally take 2 to 3 days to send your student developer pack link to you. So you have to ensure that you're following all the steps. If your claim is rejected, please do the corrections into the entry and click on revalidate so that we can revalidate your details and we can send you the student developer pack again. Right? Anybody has any question now based on what I have told you? Please put it in the chat window. Please don't repeat the question which we have covered because we have already told you about that. But if there's any extension questions, you can go ahead and you can put it in the chat. Okay, so very interesting question. Is FRT program a project making program or an internship? So FRT program basically is a program which first helps you acquire skills, and then it also wants you that you should be able to demonstrate that skill, right? So along with the learning that has happened, you should be able to apply that learning, and the application of learning is being checked in the form of a project that you created, right? So because that's the demonstration of the skills and the learning that you have acquired while going through the technology courses and industry session, right? So it's not a project making program. It's basically a program which is helping you prepare for all these on-demand job skills, and also to the coming recruiters show you that what you have done and what is that you have acquired while going through the program. Prashant, anything that you want to add on to this?
Yeah, Gunjan, another one thing which I'm seeing again and again, people are asking the same question that is any Microsoft services supports to be used, or can we use one? So guys, that you have to be very, very clear. We see a lot of rejections because of this. People somehow misunderstand this program and they feel that they will create a project just with Java, HTML or something, and they want credits or whatever. Remember guys, again, this whole program of by Microsoft is trying to make you future ready by making you learn Azure as a skill. And as Gunjan rightly said, how do we know whether you have learned it or not? Because if you will create a project in it and successfully are able to prove that you have learned at least 2 services of Azure. And again, my suggestion to you is don't just stop at 2. Try to learn 10, 20, 30. I'm not sure how much deep because we have 100 plus services. I'm not saying unnecessarily get exposed to all of them, but yes, there is a, as per this program guidelines, you need to have at least 2 services being used, and it is a compulsory thing because otherwise there is no way for us to know whether or not you have learned Azure, because that is the whole point about making you future ready.
Thanks, Prashant. Okay, so students, once again, a request. See, we want to take up all your questions. Please stop putting in the repeat questions that you have already taken. The video would be available to you even after this. You can log on to FRT YouTube channel and you can see the video from here. Because if you keep repeating the questions, we'll not be able to pick up all the questions that are being posted. So just ensure that if a question has already been answered, just avoid putting it in the chat.
So I see somebody asking question, if I make a image classification project, AI service is must, but what other service should I use? So again, just to give you an idea, remember image classification is a backend kind of an API call that you do. Now, if you want to make a project out of it, remember just using that, let's say AI service for image classification is not going to be sufficient. You will need to have a front end from where, let's say whatever was your problem statement, as part of whole of that, you will have maybe user may need to submit an image file. Now you will need to write a program so that that image file can be given as an input by the user. Now that surely will require help of at least one, if not more service, because maybe you will need to store that file in a storage account as an example. So that is another service. The front end of whole of this project would be, let's say, a web application. So you will need to host it on Azure App Service or something. So if you ask me, a simple problem statement like image classification will need at least 2 or 3 services to really have a end-to-end project. So I don't think you can just straight away use AI classification problem and give that backend API to anybody. It cannot work that way, right? Because there is a subscription thing and there is a key and there is a region. It's not a full-fledged project. It's just an API call. So accordingly, see to it that you are using 2 or more services, and surely this problem statement will justify 3 services, if not 2. Okay. So somebody has asked how to get Azure credit without Visa card. So guys, again, that is the whole point, that GitHub Student Pack gives you a Azure credit without a credit card. So please go to Azure Student Pack. And as we have been explaining time and again, that to claim this, you will need to first complete at least one e-learning, post it on this. So follow the process which is mentioned and then claim for it. And it will not require any credit card to get the Azure Pass for 1 year and $100. Okay, what else?
Even I'm trying to see that what are the questions which are not yet been answered. Any question on self-learning progress not getting synced? Students, wait till next week. There are a few changes that we are doing in the courses because there are certain courses that are being retired. So the courses are getting updated. By next week, whatever you have completed, you will be able to see your progress updated. If you've already completed a course, if you've already completed a module, all your progress will be stored. So don't worry. By next week, this problem will be resolved, right? And that's why you're seeing that the courses are not getting synced. Again, repeating onto the project deadline thing. Prashant, if you can just direct me to the top where we get to see the project deadline date. So as you can see, just below here, you get to see project submission deadline. Please log into your FRT portal. Come onto the any page. This is the top mast where you get to see your name along with the details and the milestones that you have to do. You'll get to see this is being highlighted. This is where you will get to see that what is your project deadline date, right? So any question on project deadline, please follow this thing. You'll get to onto that portal and you can see your date, right? For people whose date have already been expired, there will be another extension that will be given to you for 15 days. So keep working onto your project. Soon the extension will be given and the email will be sent to you, right? So don't stop working onto your project, keep working. The only one scenario where you would not be able to resubmit is if you've already exhausted all your 5 attempts. And when I say exhausted all 5 attempts, I mean to say you have already submitted your project 5 times and it is not yet approved, right? In such cases, if you want to resubmit, please write a mail at support@futurereadytalent.in and the team will revert you that what can be done. But from the system perspective, I'm telling you, if you've already submitted your project 5 times and a project is not being approved, you'll not be able to resubmit your project, right? Other than that, there's no other way that we are saying that somebody is eligible to submit a project and few people are not eligible to do the project, right? On to GitHub Student Developer Pack. 2021 pass out students, you would not be eligible for student developer pack because as the name says, this is for students. So for such people, you would need a credit card because you can then activate your free trial using that. But if you are a student, you can go ahead and claim your student developer pack by following the steps that we have given to you. Look out for your old emails because we have sent all the detailed steps to you, right? In case if there's one or two steps which you have not followed correctly, the team would have sent you an email, do the corrections, resubmit the request to claim your GitHub student developer pack, and the team will issue the same to you, right? The only thing is you have to follow all the instructions and you are able to get it. Once you start applying for the student developer pack by using the link that I have sent to you and you face any issue there, there's an email ID that is being given on that page. Otherwise, you can write at support@FutureReadyTalent and they'll help you, right? You have to upload relevant documents so that they can verify your student status and can issue your student developer pack, right? So try that you're uploading correct documents. You are selecting from the drop down, selecting the correct document name, uploading the correct document. The document that you're uploading has to be clear. It should not be any document which has the details required not being displayed on that, and then your application will be approved. Because we have seen certain cases where you get stuck on another step where GitHub is not approving your claim, right? Okay, so if your Azure credit, so Prashant, anything that you want to give students a guidance on if their credits are already being exhausted, what they can do, and one, how they can save onto their credits so that their project remains live for longer duration.
Yeah, so I think on that note, I already gave once an idea. So guys, like, let's say right now I have used some of the services. So remember, most of these services that we are talking of Azure, they are pay as you go model, which means the longer the service will stay active, the charges are getting consumed from your credit. So I would suggest that the moment the job of your, let's say, service is done, that is the whole point. Like we saw, whenever we create a service, it gets created in a resource group. So please make sure that once you are done with, let's say, creation of your service, checking it, testing it, whatever you wanted to, and you don't plan to work for, let's say, 1-2 days also maybe. In that case, please, of course, remember what all you did. Go and say delete that resource group preferably and delete it so that the moment the service gets destroyed, the credits don't get consumed. OK, in that case, so please keep your account as clean as possible so that unnecessary, if you are not using services, you are not consuming your credits, because once it is consumed, there is no solution that we can give you in which you can get an extension or additional credit, because as per Microsoft policy, one student is allowed only one, let's say, pass for one time for, let's say, 1 year and $100 or whatever that amount that keeps changing sometime. So just see what is the current plan and accordingly you are eligible for it only once. But keeping your account clean is very, very important. So somebody is asking GitHub student pack. So guys, again, everything is in your FRT website. Please go there and you will find, let's say, if I will go to Future Ready Talent, this is your GitHub developer pack claim. OK, just click here. And of course, there are some preconditions which Gunjan have already explained, and I also mentioned it in the slide. Please do those, meet those conditions before claiming to avoid rejection.
Okay, so somebody is asking from where I can see my credits. So see, credits is something which is attached to the certificate that you're getting in. In case if you are requiring credits against something which you're doing in your course, you can take back this certificate to your college, contact them, share them the context, and they'll give you credit. So we're not storing this credits anywhere. Your college has to give you this credits against a particular course for which you want that, right? So there's no storage that is happening there. Okay, so see, for having GitHub Student Developer Pack, it's not required that you should have a domain ID. You can go ahead for GitHub Student Developer Pack verification even without the institutional email ID. The only thing is that you need to have the relevant documents which they have given list, and it's a pretty big list. It has a lot of documents that are being mentioned. Pick up the correct option what you have, and then add that as an option and upload the document so that team can verify and they can issue the GitHub Student Developer Pack to you. But you have to be sure whatever document you are uploading has to be correct and has to be a right document. Nothing should be fudged, no wrong details, any incorrect details, because that would lead to disqualification from the entire internship. Okay, so somebody again repeating a question, have you completed your certification? So when we say have you completed your certification, we mean to say have you completed your Microsoft certification? In case if you have, then you can go and declare that. Otherwise, it's not mandatory that you have to do. Timeline starts from the day when you register for internship, and it doesn't have to do anything with orientation. So if you have registered today and if you have done your orientation 60 days after that, the minute you complete your orientation, you will have only 20 days to submit your project, right? So immediately after completing the registration, go ahead and do your orientation also and start with the learning. So out of 8 courses, there's one question which says first module is mentioned as an optional. Does completing it also will make us eligible for student GitHub Student Developer Pack? Yes, the answer is yes. You can do any course, whether it's an optional or a mandatory course, except for GitHub course, right? So other than that, any of the 7 courses that you do and you raise a request for GitHub Student Developer Pack, it will be counted. Somebody saying I have registered in December 2021. Can I still be able to acquire the internship certificate? Yes, you can go ahead and do that. You have to just check how many days are left. I'm sure you lie in 15th of June deadline. So you might have a lesser number of days left with you, but yes, you can go ahead and you can complete your internship and get the internship certificate. Jitesh, that's what that was your question. Whole procedure of how to make language translator using. Okay, so Prashant, a question maybe you would want to answer. Can you please send the whole procedure? Yeah. Can you please send the whole procedure of how to make language translator using Azure services?
So guys, again, I don't think there is I can share the whole procedure, but personally, I would suggest go for this AI 102 learning. It has all these sections like translate speech, translate text, and language understanding, Q&A. I would suggest go for this program. Don't think that anybody can give you a ready-made solution for the whole process. That is something which is part of your learning and you will need to build it on the way. But these are the building blocks for that kind of a solution. And that is the whole point, guys. Don't look for ready-made solutions, because the more you will learn, the more you will be able to come up with the solution. So I am not in a position to share a whole process of this, but this AI 102, especially the language oriented modules of it, are something that will give you a complete idea of what all features the machine, let's say the Azure Cognitive Service gives you for language like translations or speech to text or text to speech and everything. And you can take help of these to make your complete program. Okay.
Thanks. Prashant, there's another question. I'm not sure if you've taken this one. My project is on, Rajesh is asking this. My project is on cybersecurity, no coding. I can only upload video.
See, again, to answer your question in general, guys, be aware that we are looking for some kind of a coding skill, because I'm not sure what do you mean by cyber security. Which Azure services have you used? Please put them in the chat window, because there is no direct service that I can guess from the cyber security problem statement. And if you are going to use some Azure services, some kind of a code, whether configuration code or it will have to be generated, or you will have to use such a thing, a pure no code solution. There are few services which can give you that. I would strongly suggest to stay away from those services for project specific things, because in project we expect you to submit something in the GitHub that we can check that you have developed. And if it is a zero code kind of a service for whatever reason, the learning is not much in that we can check and give you code, or let's say give you credit for it. So I would suggest please use services which involve a bit of, again, by code we don't mean it may not be Java code, it could be YAML, it could be JSON, whatever APIs, but you will need to have something to prove that you have done something. A zero code approach service is not going to help you get a project, let's say, successfully claimed.
Thanks, Prashant. Somebody is writing. Okay, the question is being dismissed, but I would like to pick that question. That can I view my self-learning modules even after my project completion? Yes, your accounts would remain active till a particular time. Whenever we'll be going to archive the account of the students who have already completed their internship, or for the students who are not doing anything onto the internship portal, we'll send an email to inform you. Howsoever, the entire self-learning that you are doing would remain on MS Learn. So all of you have created your MS Learn profile. So even if FRT account gets closed, you would always have MS Learn to go back and refer to in case if you want to refer at any point in time when you are in jobs or when you are learning further things, as rightly being shown by Prashant, right? Okay, so somebody's saying that they have claimed the Azure Student Developer Pack, but they're not able to see a 25-digit verification code. Pawan, please write to support@futurereadytalent.in and the team will help you with the process which you can do. Somebody's asking a question, what should be filled in program joining code? That's not a mandatory field and is only required for certain people. So in case if you don't have a program joining code and if you're not applicable for that, you can go ahead and even continue without that. It's not a mandatory thing to fill. Okay, one question. I have made up API which will get data from different e-commerce websites.
Yeah, I am reading
and
that.
With the
So you can ignore
sure.
that. Because general, somebody asked profile. So for that, I have already shared the Learn link. You can go to profile and you will find something like this there. OK, so this is your profile with some number, mostly auto generated or whatever. So the way to go about is go to your home Learn page, Microsoft Learn, click here and there is a profile button. Okay, I made an API which will get data from different e-commerce websites, and with the help of API, I will display data on my React website so that people can check which product. Yeah, why not? It will be sufficient. Only make sure that you are using at least 2 services, because for your React website, surely you will need to use some kind of a web application. So that makes it 1. And the other service could be database for whatever reason, or a storage account for storing those links or whatever information. So make sure that you use 2 services. And I don't see any problem why this kind of a project cannot be successfully submitted as for FRT. Yes, guys, whoever has no questions and the instructions are clear can leave. There is a question, can the student leave? Yes, guys, we have covered. We are taking questions for remaining whatever time that we have, 30-35 minutes more or even required more. But whoever has no questions is more than welcome to drop. And who wants to stay and listen, even happier.
So one of the students is saying that their current project expiry date is 30th July. See, I would suggest one thing to all the students, and most of the students who would have been into internship for longer duration would know that we have all intentions and we would really want you to be successful. So don't get bogged down by what is the deadline that is being shown into the system. That's something which we want you that you should stay disciplined. In case if there are exception cases where you were not able to complete within the deadline, you always can write to support@futurereadytalent.in. We'll look into your case and we'll try and give you an extension, right? But just don't consider that 30th July is a date and I'll not be able to complete. Please put in all your efforts to complete within the date. In case if in last minute you feel that it would not be possible to complete the project, then you can go ahead and reach out to the support team and they'll help you there. Right? But first, you should give in all your efforts to ensure that it gets completed within the time frame that is being given to you. To get the credit-based certificate, you have to complete all mandatory courses, right? So on the self-learn tab, you will see that out of the 8 courses, there are 5 courses which are marked as 3 courses which are marked as non-mandatory or optional, and there are 5 courses which are not marked anything. So those are the mandatory. So yes, you should complete all the mandatory courses. Any non-mandatory course, if you not complete, it won't affect your credit-based certificate. Right, so I hope that we have answered. Somebody's writing, please reply. Sorry, you have to write your question because we can see just please reply. So in case we can just write your question again, we'll take up your question. Project should be front end only or full stack?
It can be full stack. Okay, that's not a full stack means you are trying. Actually, it is better to be full stack because front end means you may use only a web service or something which may not be sufficient. Full stack means you are most probably going to use a middleware or a database. That is anyway a prerequisite. You need to use at least 2 services. So I would suggest go for a full stack rather than just front end.
Okay, so Ronak is asking this question, and I would ask, maybe I would want to give the stage to our mentors if they want to come ahead and answer this one. Ronak is saying that I have followed all the rules and regulations, but still my project was rejected. So Ronak, one thing from my side, and then maybe our mentors can come and maybe answer Ronak once in case if you want to give him some guidance. I'm not wanting that you give them the reason, but just if you can give him some guidance. So Ronak, whenever a project is not being approved, we always send a feedback email to you where the mentors write in the detailed feedback that what was missing in your project, right? So just ensure, it could be that you would have followed all rules and regulation, but it could be a minor issue because of which the project was not being approved. Just look at the feedback which the mentors have sent to you. Try and apply that, include that into the project and resubmit, and I'm sure your project will get approved next time, right? But do look out for that email, look out for that feedback and try and implement that feedback. Anything which any of the mentor would want to say to the group, because you are the one who finally looks into these things. So anything if one of you would want to tell to our students.
Okay, while we wait for mentor to come, I see one person has mentioned, can I use HTML, CSS, JavaScript and framework like React? You can, but again, remember this will not be sufficient because even with all these framework and everything, eventually you may host it using only one service like a web app or something. You have to think of a more complete solution which make sure that you involve at least 2 Azure services, but this is a good start, but you will need to think more. And Amit is asking.
So,
yeah.
Shanti, yeah, yes, I was about to read the same question. If we can tell the students how to add the LinkedIn skills, so would you be able to show
I will
that?
do that. Yeah. So guys, you have to log in into your link and LinkedIn, go to your profile. Please scroll down to the bottom of it, and at some point you will see skills. At this point, you will have to add a skill, okay, which will be like Azure and whatever you have learned, Microsoft Azure and whatever else you have learned, and save it. And that will give you, basically, that is how you add the skill, okay, out here. Discard. So again, I will show you, you just go to your home page, click on your view profile and keep on scrolling down. And at some point you will reach where you will have skills. This one, you will have to add it using this. Okay.
Right. So log into your profiles. Go on the top where you see top left, me is being given. Click on that. Go to your profile. Right. Once
And
you
then
reach
scroll
to
down
click
to
on view
skills.
profile, once you reach your view profile, you can scroll down to skill section. In case if you don't have a skill section yet there, on the top, it does give you an option of add section. Prashant, if you could just go on the top of your profile.
Out here.
On the top where we see your
Yeah,
picture,
add
right? So here
profiles.
you see a add profile section. Here it gives you a add skill option. You can click on that and then you should be able to add skills. Type Microsoft Azure into the pop-up that comes in. You'll see in the drop down that it shows you Microsoft Azure as a word. And then after that, you can just select from the drop down and add it, right, Amit? So I'm sure you just acknowledge that if you've understood the steps and go ahead and update. After that, once you have done that, you have to go back to your orientation page, go on, move to the LinkedIn section and click on revalidate so that we know that you have updated the details and we can revalidate your details from the backend, right? Okay, so somebody saying I've just joined. Can we summarize the entire thing? It's very less time to summarize. I would suggest we'll share the link, the recording of this with you. You can go ahead and you can view the recording. Right. As somebody was saying that 30th July is the last date, can I do something in terms of extension? So my advice is please keep working onto your project. In case last minute you realize that you'll not be able to complete, you will please do write to the team and team will look into your case. No, there is no class tomorrow. These are this is the session that we're doing in today. However, if you want to refer to the session later, you can go on to FRT YouTube channel and you can review the details from there. I think, Amit, we have covered your question.
How many times can we register for the Future Ready Talent in 1 year? I think it's only one time, right? You cannot register multiple times, right, Gunjan?
Yes, student, it's like one email, one account, and you don't have to register multiple times. If you're already registered and if you have your account there, then you use that account to complete your internship. Okay, hello, ma'am. Oh, sorry, I think.
Yeah, I'm not getting completed sign also. Yeah, so this is fine, guys. It's being worked upon. I think you've already explained it, Gunjan, that the progress doesn't get updated in that link. By Tuesday or something, we will have an update.
Correct. Amit, I think we have taken your question. So if it's about how to update skills, I think we have already answered that question. We would request don't spam the chat by typing that question again and again, because we have, I think, already answered your question. Okay, I think most of the questions we have already answered. There's a question, can I use Power BI as a part of the project?
Yeah, I'm looking at that. So actually you can, but remember Power BI is not directly an Azure service. So you could have Power BI is mainly a reporting and more like a dashboard kind of a tool. As a sub module somewhere you may be using it, but again, I would suggest strongly try to stick to services which are core Azure services, because Power BI is not a core Microsoft service. OK, it's a Microsoft service, not an Azure service directly. Of course, it uses Azure for something, so it can be one of the service. Anyway, it's a very low code, zero code kind of a solution. So I don't think you will achieve much by using Power BI and by integrating it. But we are more interested in you getting exposed to Azure services. So try to focus more on them. OK, which Azure service to use? I will make a website. So web app is one of the most common service. You can look at that from if you want to learn about it. this is your go-to place. Go to your learning and go to this AZ204. And in this you have website with Azure App Service, deploy a website. This is a perfect place to go. Okay, I don't think I'm not aware of any Microsoft t-shirt after finishing. Maybe Gunjan, if you would like to add on that, I have no idea.
Okay, what is the question? Because I have lost track of.
It says will we receive Microsoft t-shirt after finishing?
Okay, as of now you are. It's a limited time offer. We are exhausting on the t-shirt, so please claim it before it the stocks last, right? So ensure you are able to submit your project and get the Azure t-shirt. I think with that, we can close the session. Any closing remarks, Prashant, from your end before we close it?
Yeah, so guys, I think I would say make the most of this opportunity. You're getting a very good place to learn. I know there are some operational challenges. Keep them into account, but do claim your student pack. Once you get your $100 credit, please use it very, very judiciously. It's a golden opportunity. A lot of companies are looking for cloud skills because the future is in the cloud. Take this opportunity. Don't stop just at 2 services. Try to get a holistic view of the whole thing. Do the e-learnings, and it's a lifelong learning journey that you are joining with this cloud era. So all the best for your things, for your project and for your learning. That's it from my side. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you all. Thanks, students. All the best. And yes, the recording, everybody, please look out for Future Ready Talent YouTube channel. All the recordings will be posted there. Just check after 1 or 2 days, you will be able to see the recording there. So thank you all. T-shirt, yes. The minute you complete your project, you'll get the t-shirts, but the stocks are lasting. So ensure that you submit your project in time and get the t-shirt. Thank you all.
And I think there's one final
everyone.
thing which I said, project title. So guys, the project title you will have to define. We don't give project title based on the problem statement and the industry vertical. You will need to choose a project title for yourself. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. So with this, we'll be closing the session. Thank you, students. Thank you for joining in. All the best for your project. Let's end the live.